Hello, and welcome to this session of IEP Basics. My name is Phyllis Barrington, and I am a specialist for Fiddlers, Florida Diagnostic Learning and Resources Systems. We provide professional development trainings for teachers and parents in Duval, Clay, and Nassau counties. Let's get started. I am not a lawyer, so I do not interpret the law, and I am not a professional advocate. But I am a certificated, highly qualified educator, and my role is to provide information and resources in exceptional education to parents and families. IDEA was originally enacted by Congress in 1975 to ensure that children with disabilities have the opportunity to receive a free, appropriate public education just like other children. The law has been revised many times over the years. The most recent amendments were passed by Congress in December 2004, with final regulations published in August 2006, which is Part B for school-age children, and September 2011, Part C for babies and toddlers. So, in one sense, the law is very new, but has a long, detailed, and powerful history. Today, we will only focus on Part B, which is assistance for education of all children with disabilities. To be eligible under IDEA, a child must meet the criteria and require specially designed instruction. There may come a time when the team believes that your child is not making enough progress, even with their Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions, leads the team to suspect that your child might need exceptional student education and related services. At that time, the team may suggest an additional evaluation to find out if your child qualifies for ESE, which is Exceptional Student Education. Information gained through the ongoing problem-solving response to intervention process helps the team decide whether to make a referral for an evaluation to see if the child has a disability. Children who need ongoing intensive or specially designed instruction in school because of a disability qualify for exceptional student education. This is often called ESE. Sometimes it is called special education. To be eligible under IDEA, a child must meet the criteria of one or more disability categories and must also need specially designed instruction and related services such as speech, language, occupational, and/or physical therapies. To receive ESE services in Florida, your child must meet requirements of at least one of the exceptionality categories listed and need specially designed instruction and/or related services. Educators sometimes use the acronyms of the exceptionalities, so these have been provided as well. Autism spectrum disorder, deaf or hard of hearing, developmentally delayed, dual sensory impaired, emotional or behavioral disabilities, homebound or hospitalized, intellectual disabilities, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, traumatic brain injury, specific learning disabilities, speech impairment, language impairment, visually impaired, gifted. In Florida, some children who learn very easily to meet qualification requirements receive ESE gifted services. The major principles of IDEA include appropriate evaluation. The evaluation must assess the child in all areas related to the child's suspected disability. The evaluation results will be used to decide the child's eligibility for special education and related services and to make decisions about an appropriate educational program for the child. A group of qualified professionals and the parents look at the child's evaluation results. Together, they decide if the child is a child with a disability and is defined by IDEA. Individualized Education Program Plan is planned and written. We will discuss this in more detail on the next few slides. Parent and student participation, as IDEA states, almost 30 years of research and experience has demonstrated that the education of children with disabilities can be more effective by strengthening the role and responsibility of parents and ensuring that families have meaningful opportunities to participate in the education of their children at school and at home. Least restrictive environment. The law states that each public agency must ensure that, to the maximum extent appropriate, children with disabilities, including children in public and private institutions or other care facilities, are educated with children who are non-disabled. In special cases, separate schooling or other removal of children with disabilities from the regular education environment occurs only if the nature or severity of the disability is such that the education in regular classes with the use of supplementary aids and services cannot be achieved satisfactorily. Procedural safeguard. The school must provide you with a written explanation of your rights. You get this as a printed procedural safeguards notice. You can also ask for a verbal explanation. You, as a parent, have a legal right to participate in meetings about your child's education, including IEP meetings. You can even call an IEP meeting at any time. You have the right to see and get an explanation of your child's school records. You can ask for corrections. The school must protect your child's confidentiality. This includes personal information such as your child's name, address, social security number, and other personal details. Before evaluating your child or providing special education services for the first time, the school must inform you of what's involved. You have to give your permission in writing before the school can move forward. The school must give you written notice before it changes your child's special education experience. This includes when the school wants to add or deny services. It must tell you what it proposes to do and why. When the school provides written notice, it must use language that's understandable to the general public. The notice must also be in your native language. This includes Braille. If you disagree with the school's evaluation results, you have the right to get an IEE. An IEE is an evaluation of your child's skills and needs by someone who is not a school employee. The school must consider the results of the IEE. However, the school is not required to accept the findings. Do you disagree with a proposed change to your child's IEP services or placement? The stay put protection keeps your child's current IEP in place while you and the school work things out. You have the right to disagree with the school about what's best for your child. If you have a disagreement, IDEA provides you several dispute resolution options. Your special education teacher or administrator will provide more information on the course of action. The free appropriate public education, which is also called FAPE, a cornerstone of IDEA, is that each eligible child with a disability is entitled to a free appropriate public education. That emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet the child's unique needs and that prepares the child for further education, employment, and independent living. Today, we will focus on the components of an IEP, an individual education program or plan. Every child with a disability who is eligible for ESE or special education will have an IEP. An IEP is a written plan that tells you, your child, the teachers, and other school staff which ESE services the child will provide to your child. Your child cannot receive ESE services until the first IEP is developed and you give your permission for the services and placement. IEPs are developed during IEP team meetings. You will get a written notice from the school before each IEP meeting. The notice will tell you the day, time, and place suggested for the meeting, who will be there, and why the meeting is being held. The school staff want your help in writing the IEP, so they will try to find a day, time, and place that is good for you. Some parents choose to participate in the meeting by telephone. If you choose not to participate in the meeting, the school may hold the IEP meeting without you. Even if you do not participate, you will still receive a copy of the IEP. The IEP team. Who develops the IEP? The IEP is developed by a comprehensive team of individuals and the parents who have knowledge or expertise about the child or the educational resources and services your child uses. If the school is going to invite someone from an agency other than the school district, you must give your permission. If you are going to invite someone, it would be helpful if you let the school know who you are inviting. This team meets at least once a year and more often if necessary. Team members work together to craft an education plan that will address the child's individual needs and enable the child to participate in general education and school activities, learning alongside his or her non-disabled peers to the maximum extent appropriate. The IEP team then puts its crafted plan down in writing results, resulting in the IEP that will guide the delivery of the child's special education and related services. The IEP process. The IEP process begins with the child is identified as needing special education and related services. This can happen through an organization such as Child Find or a request for an evaluation by a school professional or parents. Then the child is evaluated. The evaluation must assess the child in all areas related to the child's suspected disability. A group of qualified professionals and the parents look at the child's evaluation results. Together, they decide if the child is a child with a disability as defined by IDEA. Once the child is found eligible for services, an IEP must be written within 30 days, 30 calendar days. Then the school system schedules and conducts the IEP meeting. The IEP team gathers to talk about the child's needs and write the student's IEP. Parents and students, when appropriate, are part of the team. If the child's placement is decided by a different group, the parents must be part of that group as well. The school makes sure that the child's IEP is being carried out as it is written. Parents are given a copy of the IEP. Each of the child's teachers and service providers has access to the IEP and knows his or her specific responsibilities for carrying out the IEP. This includes the accommodations, modifications, and supports that must be provided to the child in keeping with the IEP. The child's progress towards the annual goals is measured as stated in the IEP. His or her parents are regularly informed of the child's progress and whether that progress is enough for the child to achieve the goals by the end of the year. The progress reports must be given to parents at least once per quarter. The child's IEP is reviewed by the team at least once a year, or more often if the parents or school ask for a review. If necessary, the IEP is revised. At least every 3 years, the child must be reevaluated. This evaluation is often called triennials. Its purpose is to find out if the child continues to be a child with a disability as defined by IDEA and what the child's educational needs are. The components of the IEP. By law, the IEP must include certain information about the student and the educational program designed to meet his or her unique needs. The U.S. Department of Education states that 1. The IEP must state how the child is currently doing in school, known as present levels of educational performance or PLOP. This information usually comes from the evaluation results, such as classroom tests and assignments, individual tests given to decide eligibility for services or during reevaluation, or observations made by parents, teachers, related service providers, and other school staff. The statement about current performance includes how the child's disability affects his or her involvement and the progress in the general curriculum. 2. These are goals that the child can reasonably accomplish in a year. The goals are broken down into short-term objectives and benchmarks. Goals may be academic, address social or behavioral needs, relate to physical needs, or address other educational needs. The goals must be measurable, meaning that it must be possible to measure whether the student has achieved the goals. 3. The IEP must list the special education and related services to be provided to the child on behalf of the child. This includes supplementary aids and services that the child needs. It also includes modification, which is changes to the program or supports for school personnel, such as training or professional development that will be provided to assist the child. The IEP describes each ESE service, related service, accommodation or modification, support, or supplementary aid for your child. It may also list the title of the person who will make sure that your child receives each service. Services, aids, and supports are that your child may need in order to benefit from school. 4. The IEP must explain the extent, if any, to which the child will participate with their non-disabled peers in the regular class or other school activities. Will the child be fully included with the general education population, or will they be in a different setting that is more appropriate for their needs? If so, what percentage of the day? Will they attend school assemblies, lunch, field trips, and elective courses? All of this information will be described in the IEP. A state's plan must include a promise that the child with a disability will only be removed from a regular classroom if the nature or severity of their disability interferes with to such a degree that education, even the additional supports and services, cannot be satisfactorily achieved in a regular class. Students must be placed in the least restrictive environment as possible. 5. Most states and districts give achievement tests to children in certain grades or age groups. The IEP must state what modifications or accommodations in the administration of these tests the child will need. The student will take the FSA, Florida State Assessment, or the FSAA, Florida State Alternative Assessment, based on their assigned curriculum, either the general education curriculum or the access points. 6. The IEP must state when services will begin, how often they will be provided, where they will be provided, and how long they will last. 7. Beginning when the child is age 14 or younger if appropriate, the IEP must address within the applicable parts of the IEP the courses he or she needs to take to reach his or her post-school goals. A statement of transition services needs must also be included in each of the child's subsequent IEPs. Beginning when the child is age 16 or younger, if appropriate, the IEP must state the transition services are needed to help the child prepare for leaving school. When your child turns 14, they should participate in meetings, and the IEP team will start discussing what you and your child's plans are for after high school. The IEP will also identify the course of study and services needed to help your child prepare for life after high school. The book, Transition Planning for Students with Disabilities, A Guide for Families, provides important information about transitioning. It is available online at www.fldoe.org/ESE/pub-home.asp and from the BRIC. Number 8, beginning at least 1 year before the child reaches the age of majority, the IEP must include a statement that the student has been told of any rights that will transfer to him or her at the age of majority. This statement will be needed only in states that transfer rights at the age of majority, which is 18. 9. The IEP must state how the child's progress will be measured and how parents will be informed of that progress. A parent's role. You are your child's best advocate. You know their interests, strengths, and challenges. You should take an active role in their development of the IEP. After your child has started receiving services, keep in touch with the teachers. Find out how your child is doing and what your child is learning. Visit the class every once in a while. Before you visit, call the school to arrange a time. Talk with the teachers about the good things you saw, as well as any concerns you may have. Know when you should receive written reports and how your child is progressing toward their IEP goals. If you do not receive reports, ask for them. If concerns or disagreements about your child's ESE services come up, it is helpful to talk with the teacher, guidance counselor, staffing specialist, or school principal as soon as possible. It is important for parents to be active participants in the IEP process. This worksheet from the InSource Special Education Parent Support website may be helpful to document your concerns to share with teachers and the IEP team. For example, in this form, Angela's parents listed their concerns regarding reading and issues with homework. They also provided evidence to support their concerns. Parents may make recommendations for accommodations based on their knowledge of the child and what has worked at home or in the past. Finally, the team reaches an agreement and develop a high quality IEP. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for attending IEP Basics. We hope this information was helpful. From all of us at DCPS and Fiddlers, we wish you happiness and success with your parenting adventures.